What's happening, good people? We are here with my man Jared Dillian for Macro Dirtcast number 7, and as you can see, we've got a very special guest. What's up, my man Kuppy?
Hey, how's it going?
What's up,
Good.
Dick Brain?
There we go. We are officially engaged here. It's great to have Harris Kupperman with us, the manager of Praetorian Capital, and we are going to rack his brain about markets. I just wanted to start off our show today with a quick shout out, right? Because I love shout outs. This shout out goes to Dawn and her husband out in Qualicum Beach, Canada, which is a town in British Columbia about 3 hours across the Strait of Georgia from Vancouver. It's a 50-hour ride, 3,000 miles from here. So I appreciate that Dawn and her husband reached out. I want to say hi. She asked if we could talk about gold, uranium, Bitcoin, and the oil markets. Obviously, we're going to do that, but I love this little shout out, JD. She said, your show is as good as the finest croissant with the best coffee Sunday morning. Right? Tip the bobblehead. Let's hear it. I appreciate that kind of a sentiment. That reminds me of like a Casey Kasem's long distance shout out when he used to do the top 40 on Sunday. So I really wanted to get into that. Now let's get into it with Kuppy. Markets. We saw the VIX trade 50 today. Take it away, guys. What do you want to talk about?
VIX actually traded. VIX traded like 64 today or something.
Was that the peak?
Yeah.
That's a 12 standard deviation move. I know
I would not want to be a variant swap broker today.
Good point, man. Good point. So far, the bounce is working, but who knows how long that lasts. Kuppy, give me a view on the VIX at 50, the S&P at 5,200. What are we doing with it here?
I think the real selling starts when the dip buyers all hit their stop losses. That's when the fun starts. For now, I'm just kind of sitting around.
Are you back from Italy, just sitting around wallowing in volatility, huh?
I love it. I was up all night last night hoping there'd be a big wick in the yen. You know, sometimes it moves like 5-10 handles. I want to take the other side of that. I'm just waiting until there's a real flash. I don't know. There's so much leverage in this system. There'll be a flash crash somewhere. I want to play that. Probably just sell vol against it. But for now, I'm just kind of sitting here, kind of bored, honestly.
So the value trader in you thinks that we can get things cheaper, eh?
Yeah, or just sell puts. I mean, when it all crashes, you sell puts. That's VIX. That's what I do. I got my book. I love my book. And if I'm going to, press it a little, I'll be selling vol.
Very interesting. JD?
Yeah, I mean, that's really like when the VIX gets above 50, 60, 70, 80, right? Like the trade is actually to sell puts, like to try to pick a bottom and sell puts and just walk away and watch them melt. But I think, this is sort of round one. Here's the question. Is this 2007 or is it 2018? Meaning, is this the beginning of a long recession or is this just a dislocation, too much leverage, that sort of thing, like we had with the Volmageddon in 2018? So if this is 2007, today was a starting gun, right? Like this is not the end. Like we're going to bounce and we're going to drift around for a couple of weeks, but we're going to have another event a couple of weeks from now, and we're going to find our way down to 4,000 in the S&P. If this is more like 2018, then maybe this is it, and we march on and make new highs. I think it's more like 2007. Personally, I think it's more like 2007.
I'm not smart enough to make the call which one it is, but I want Braden to throw up that chart of the VIX that I sent him because it's just a 10-year chart of the VIX, and it shows the 4 spikes that we've seen, or the 3 other spikes that we've seen in the last 10 years that are in line with this move above 60 today. So going backwards, we had the lockdown spike to 70 in 2020. We had the Volmageddon spike that JD just mentioned in 2018 that got the VIX to 50. And when oil crashed in 2015, that generated a 50-plus VIX spike too when all the oil stocks came off and oil went to zero, et cetera, et cetera. So in my opinion, and I'll just offer this first, this is a perfectly functioning market that, to me, is reacting to the steepening of the yield curve, which is reacting to the Fed's change in policy stance. And somewhere around here, we're going to find a bottom and get on our horse again. So that's just my personal view. I could be wrong, and I'm allowed to change my mind in 1 hour if I think so. But Kuppy, what are your thoughts around here? You still think things come cheaper, and what do you think about the rates markets?
Well, I think equities come cheaper. I mean, this is day one of the problem, right? You don't have a bottom on a Monday ever. I think it's going to keep going. I think we have this weird gap period. Go back to 2008. I think one of the reasons why 2008 went so chaotic is that we were going into an election and no one wanted to do anything because they didn't want to seem political. You had the Fed that kind of like stood back a little. You had a bunch of regulators and they just watched these banks teetering on the edge and no one wanted to do anything because it looked like they were taking a political stance and that's supposed to be political. That's why it had to all fall apart before they could step in. And no one's going to ever accuse the Democrats right now of being apolitical. But at the same time, I think look, there's no one in charge of our government. I mean, Biden doesn't even know he's the president, and so these things might just cascade and lead on itself. I don't know what 25 bips or 250 bips does to fix what's happening. What's happening is the economy slowing. What they need is stimmies of some type. And you can't have stimmies until we figure out who the president is. And so if it's Kamala, we'll have stimmies sometime in December. If it's Trump, we have stimmies sometime February or March, because it probably takes Trump, 2 months to get his team in place. And so you have this window of 4 to 6 months where I think it's just going to get worse before it gets better. I also think this is a Kamala crash. I think a lot of guys are looking at her, and I hate to be political on your show,
No,
but
do it.
she's never come out with an economic policy statement of any type. I mean, she's come out with really no statement. She came out with some like generic Marxist stuff occasionally, but she's never come out and said like what she thinks and believes. So when Trump was ahead 25 points, everyone said, okay, this is like 2016 to 20. He's going to come out of the golf course around noon. He's going to tweet something about how great the economy is. Spoo's going to rip 30 handles, and we'll rinse and repeat every day. He'll just, everyone got excited for that. I mean, did Trump actually do anything for the economy? I don't know. But he tweeted it. What does Kamala stand for, and what's her plan? No one knows. And I think as her polling number gets better, I think that's a lot of what's happening right now. Take it away, guys. Disagree with me.
I think I remember specifically her platform when she ran in the primary in 2019, 2020. She wanted a top marginal tax rate of 45%, right? She explicitly said that. She wanted a top marginal tax rate of 45%. She wanted wealth taxes of 4%, right?
That's all terrifying.
It's terrifying, yeah. So right now, she has not had she might be the first president ever elected who has never gotten a question from a journalist, right? Like nobody knows where she stands in this stuff. I know because I remember, but all that stuff has been memory holed off the internet. You can't find it.
Right. I mean, but like tax rate's one thing. What's she going to do for the economy? Which sectors she supports, which sectors she hates. Like we know where Trump stands. We kind of know where Biden stands. You know where a lot of politicians stand on these things. What the market hates is uncertainty. No one knows what she stands for. No one even knows if she can count backwards from 100. Like it's terrifying. And I think ever since her polling numbers started getting good, that's when the market fell over.
Yeah.
I mean, like the economic data has been going bad really since like April. So that wasn't the catalyst. And whatever happened in Japan, yeah, I get it. They haven't raised rates in 15 years. Who cares? I think it's Kamala.
Yeah, it really is impossible to argue that as soon as Biden was cooed out, Kamala appeared to be the president and the whole risk unravel started. So maybe the Japan thing is a total coincidence, but I kind of agree with you guys. Where do we think gold is going? Gold is a typical gold behavior day for me. Another line item on the P&L. When the P&L gets smoked, you got to sell some gold. And then I think it's going to level off. What do you guys think?
Go, Jared.
Okay, well, I sold my trading position a couple of weeks ago around 24.50, and I'm waiting to get back in significantly lower. Gold sometimes trades with risk. Usually in times of crisis, it trades with risk. I think it has more downside. Could be 2350, 2300, maybe even 2250. But once the rate cuts start, like I think I mentioned this on the last show. This is my thesis is we are going to get a series of rate cuts, 150 basis points, 200, 300. We're going to have a rate cut cycle. the Fed is going to cut too much. They're going to hold rates low for too long. This is going to be a repeat of 2001, 2002, 2003 when commodities take off because of that easy monetary policy. So, like right now, like I'm sneaking into commodities, like very tiny positions, just like sneaking in and getting short the dollar, which isn't working yet, but it's, I'm happy to do that. And that's really the thesis. And so I think gold ultimately goes to 3,000, but I think maybe you wait for that first emergency rate cut. And I do think the Fed is going to cut intermeeting. They can't wait until September. It's like 6 weeks. I think they have to cut intermeeting. I'm somewhat surprised they didn't do it today. I think it could happen this week if things get worse. So
I mean, that means the stock market is a two-fisted buy right now. Having seen the VIX trade 55, the S&P on its 200-day moving average, and you're telling me that they're going to have an emergency rate cut? That's bullish stocks, man.
I think it's possible.
Yeah, I'm not factoring it out. I'm not arguing with you. I don't know if that's the case because I think the markets are going to stabilize on their own or maybe with a little help from their friends at the Fed. But I don't know that it's going to be a markets on their back situation that quickly. I just see the muscle memory in a lot of the Mag 7 stocks that opened on the lows today and are now still have rallied sharply and are still in the upper quartile of their range with just about an hour and a half, 2 hours left in the day. So those seem like they're hanging in okay to me, and I'm not a fatalist. Kuppy, what do you think about gold?
I think it's going higher. I mean, I'll let Jared guess, where to put the bids in. I mean, I just think it's going higher. I think we have some real fiscal problems in America. And look, my entire professional career, you buy whatever the Chinese want, and they want more gold. They've told you they want more gold. They told you to go front run them. Go buy gold. It's the trade, right?
Great trade.
Well, since 2002, all you do is listen to what the Chinese are buying, and then you front run them. That's been like, there was a period last decade where they just kept buying treasuries. So you buy treasuries, like whatever it is they want, just buy it. Because once they start, they don't stop. They just run a VWAP for the next 5 years, whether it's iron ore, 15 years ago, or oil, or whatever.
That's true. It was a 10-year commodity super cycle. They paid every offer on the LME for 10 years straight, right? Yes. We saw it happen. It was the most unbelievable thing in the world.
And then they switched to treasuries, and those things stayed bid to the moon for another decade. Like they tell you what the trade is, and look, they're smart. They play the game, and they kind of flash crash every once in a while, and they blow some stops to buy it cheaper. And don't think it's just gold. They do this with like iron ore also, or with oil. Like they have a game. They play the game. But they're there. You just buy it.
That's fair. It's working. You have observable facts on your side that strategy works. So there's not going to be anybody on this call arguing with you. I guarantee you that. Let's progress a little bit into this talk. We got to talk about Kuppy.
Yeah.
And JD, because JD had a great call on this one too. And uranium, when uranium was tight and above $100, and there's no offer. And guess what? It doesn't matter because sentiment and positioning is way over its skis, and uranium and SPUT have to back off. Where are we now in the uranium trade, Kuppy?
So I just want to say, JD, 2 years ago, he called us all assholes, and uranium was 50, and he was dead fucking right. And look, it doubled since then. So, I've been right also. It's a difference of timelines and time frames. But for 2 years, it was dead money. And I could have recycled my capital and done something better. And he was totally right. It went to sleep, right? It didn't go up or down. It just went to sleep for 2 years. What's happening right now? Look, uranium, I got into it in the low 30s. It got past 100. It's been a good trade. It's pulled back now to the mid 80s. The market's gone totally no bid. And there's two markets, right? There's the uranium market, which is what utilities are on the bid. And uranium companies, they're on the offer. That's the physical market. And you guys are going to laugh, but the physical market's literally a WhatsApp group. I have a buddy who sends me screenshots every once in a while, but it's literally utilities like, who's got 200,000 pounds? And then some miner or some trader will be like, yeah, I got 100 here and 100 here. The utility's like, okay, I take them. And then no one responds for a couple hours. And the utility's like, is that offer real or not? Like, oh no, we're just in Namibia, and we're asleep tonight. Like, we can't honor the trade till we wake up in the morning. Like, but the entire uranium market's a WhatsApp group with about 10 players in it. Okay, so that's the actual market. Then you have what we see on the screen, which is SPUT. that trades at a premium or discount and moves all over the place. And you got a bunch of very speculative juniors, which are like 3 times beta to spuds. And that market's kind of gone to sleep because it's risk off and it's a crowded hedge fund hotel trade. I think it's going higher long term. You can't have a giant deficit of like 20% of demand for years after years after years without the price going higher. I mean, the price has gone higher. It's basically tripled. But, it kind of goes to sleep for a while. And then it wakes up again when some utility needs £1 million. They sweep the book for $20. And that's basically what happens. And everyone's like, oh, wow, the price is up $10 in the spot market. No, it's one utility that just lifted all the offers. It's and then everything else just feeds on itself. And that's what's happening right now. There hasn't been a lot of trading in Q2 in the physical market. There's a bunch of reasons for that. I don't need to get into it. But I think it's going to pick up again. There's this thing called WNA in London, the first week of September. It's the main nuclear conference each year. And historically, the market wakes up right after that because a ton of deals get negotiated between buyers and sellers and things come alive. And I think it's going to come alive again, assuming the market doesn't totally detonate the equity market. So that's how I see it. Long term, I think the price is going much higher.
Very good. I like it. I kind of stick with the COP 2060 and the growth of nuclear power here and, and around the world and that being a good driving force for the trade. JD, what do you think? You have any opinions on uranium here? How many assholes do we have in the market? Are they all shaken out or what?
Not too many assholes these days. No,
right.
No.
Yeah. The uranium asshole meter is way, way down off the high. It was funny when it was on the highs, though. It's so observable on Twitter. All the uranium bulls gripping each other. It's literally phenomenal to watch.
When you get the radioactive eyes, that's when you sell.
Yeah, every time, right? They put them back on at 71K bid, and they got fucking rinsed, right? It's staggering. Let's talk about the oil price. To me, oil is totally disrespecting the Iran retaliation of Israel, the nonsense going on in Gaza. I mean, anything going on in the oil markets, Kuppy? Do we have any trade there?
I don't know. I mean, if you're going to have a recession, maybe oil kind of goes to sleep for a while. I feel like it's 70 bid at 90. And that's where the market is until some new data comes out.
That's my view, too. I don't have an axe to grind in oil at all. Still, JD, do you have it all?
Well, oil's, as you know, Tony, oil is big in the commodity indices. So I've been watching BCOM, right?
Yeah.
And I've been charting it. And I think BCOM is 3 or 4 days away from bottoming. And basically, WTI, Brent, and gold are the 3 biggest components of BCOM. So I'm sort of vulturing around looking to put in a bid. So I don't know where that's going to be, whether it's 70 or 65 or somewhere in between, or I think it's going to be somewhere in that neighborhood. But I'm looking to take a small position sometime soon. So,
all right, that's fair. Are you going to stay in the physical commodities, JD? Are you trading any of the producers or any of the stocks or anything like that?
I haven't decided yet.
Fair. That's fair. It's usually, I always feel like when my view is in the commodity and I do anything that gets a little bit too cute, like buying the miners or producers, I lose money. So I feel like that was just a great thing to do in gold, which was to stick with your gold because silver was along for the ride. Then silver did this fake breakout and broke down, and gold kind of just stayed and hung in there. So I can kind of look at that as a similar type of trade. And I think it is probably going to be best to be long the physical commodities if you're getting long for that scenario that you spoke about, where we're going to this Fed rate cutting cycle and hard assets become preferred again. Is there anything in the markets that we haven't touched on a 65 VIX day that we should be? Is there any blind spot that I'm missing here?
I mean, why is Japan down 20% in 3 trading days? What's going on there?
Combustion, man.
When banks going?
You know what they do? They borrow yen at 0, they buy dollars, and they buy stocks with the dollars.
The one thing I'll say about Japan is that they've had an uninterrupted bull market in stocks for 12 years. Right? The Topix, the Nikkei bottomed in 2012, and that's when dollar yen got to like 76, right? When the yen was just incredibly strong. So this whole DXJ trade has worked for 12 years. And it's really sucked in a lot of the public in Japan. Like it was turning into a little bit of a bubble in Japan. A lot of retail interest in stocks, which was confusing to people because after a 30-year bear market, you would figure there would be no retail participation at all. But in this last leg up in the Nikkei, like there's been a lot of retail involved. So it got crowded. So
That's fair. That's
I believe
fair.
that.
And there, I mean, now the Nikkei is what, 26% off the highs, bear market territory. Do you buy the dip in the Nikkei now, JD, or you just stay away?
I think you buy the dip at some point, probably another 10% down from here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a lot more volatility then to come. Um, any other market topics going once? I feel like we've kind of touched on all the assets, all the asset classes, rates, commodities, and everything. Is anybody watching the Olympics?
God, no.
Yeah, I watched the men's 100-meter last night on TV.
That was a cool race. That was a super
cool race.
Super tight race. I love the meme on Twitter where this guy is the fastest guy in the world, and this guy that came in like 0.001 seconds behind him didn't even get a medal. I have a pretty good personal interest story in the Olympics. My first cousin's daughter, Braden, why don't you throw that picture of her up? My first cousin's daughter, Rachel Fatal, is on the U.S. women's water polo team. She is a juggernaut water polo player. They are now 3-0 in this Olympics. She's going for her third gold medal. She was a 4-time All-American at UCLA, and she has been a pool rat since she was a little kid. So it has been literally unbelievable to see Rachel Fatal excel at this level in the Olympics. If you would have told me that I would have had a relative that won a gold medal one day, I would have said, no way, man.
If you were to ask me what sport in the world I would be the worst at, it's probably water polo.
Oh, God, you'd sink right to the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you wouldn't be able to hold the volleyball either. You wouldn't be able to hold the ball. Kuppy, what would your number one Olympic sport be?
Nothing. I'm not athletic at all.
No?
I'm terrible.
Farting.
Oh, man. All right, then let's go into music, Kuppy. I want to go directly into music if we're not going to go into sports.
Talk about this.
What do you listen to, Kuppy?
So I just listen to mostly hippie jam band stuff. When I'm trading, I just kind of want to trance out and, just not think about it. So
like who?
Like Almonds, Dead, Mule, like just that sort of stuff. Like that hippie genre. You're shaking your head, Jared. But what do you listen to, Tony?
I'm kind of similar as you. There's not a day that goes by that I don't listen to the Grateful Dead. I listen to Fish, Widespread Panic, classic rock, when I'm working out, heavy metal. I listen to it all, but not a day goes by that I don't listen to the Grateful Dead. That's for sure.
I had no idea you're a Deadhead. Never could have guessed.
Big time. I got 23 shows with Jerry under my belt before he died, man. I was sad, motherfucker, when he went down.
That's
I really,
incredible.
really loved. Yeah, I really, really loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was too young for that.
JD's over there with his headphones on and his fast shoes. What are you listening to lately, JD?
I'm kind of like old techno from 2011, 2012 these days. I actually got a sound system in my office, and I just play tunes all day long.
Isn't that great? I have the same thing. I love having the Sonos speakers cranking during the workday. They go along great with markets. They keep you in a good mood, even if you're losing money. You're kind of reminded that you're playing a game. So.
Yeah, no, you need to have music. You can't think without music. I don't know what it is, but I think markets and music go together. And the people I know who, when you go to their office and it's totally quiet, they're not money makers. And the guys who always have some music going, like they're the guys having fun. They're the ones cranking out money.
There's some level to that. That is for sure that, keeps you relaxed and keeps things on the right level. It's kind of like, I kind of equate it to them cranking tunes in Vegas casinos. Right? Like it keeps you upbeat. It keeps you focused. It kind of winds you into the music and kind of dials you into the room and things like that. So I think there's a lot of good qualities.
Have like a pattern to them. They have like there's like a repetition, and then like it goes in the waves. That's kind of like markets also. And I just think people who are dialed into music are just dialed into markets differently.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And I got one thing that I'll throw in here that's separate. When I'm writing, I can't listen to music with lyrics or even like really guitar driven music, because then I start thinking about how they're playing what they're playing on guitar and I can't write. But if I put on, what I like to put on are JD's DJ Stochastic mixes, which are usually no vocals at all and just that kind of like trancey, beady music. And I can write for 24 hours straight like that. So that was really, really useful to figure out that I should stop listening to music with lyrics when I'm trying to write something.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
ever?
hey, props to both of you guys writing almost dailies. Like, I don't know how you do it. I have a blog. I always tell myself I'm going to write more, and if I get one, maybe two posts out a month, I feel kind of proud of myself. Like, you guys are just cranking it out. I don't know how you do it. Props to you. I
I
read
don't
both of you
don't
guys actually, and
Well, that's
it's always
nice of
good.
you. It's nice of you, but don't dare put me in JD's class. He is far more prolific a market and regular writer than me. JD, tell us about how you do it. I don't know how you do it every day, and I don't know how you do the market commentary and a blog post almost every day. Like I just don't have it in me. How do you write so prolifically?
I type fast.
That's good.
No, I just look, I tell people this all the time. I don't have any kids. At the end of the day, I leave my office, I go to the couch, and I get my laptop and I continue to write. So I'm writing 3 or 4 hours during the workday. I'm writing 3 or 4 hours at night. Like I'm just constantly doing it. So book number 5 is coming out next month. I
Wow.
have, the We're Gonna Get Those Bastards blog. I have 2 monthly newsletters, a weekly newsletter, the Daily Dirt Nap. Like it's a lot. So
I'm telling you, it's all because you're cheating and you have no kids.
yeah, yeah.
But that is, I enjoy reading all of Jared's stuff, and I don't read all of it because you read more than I can possibly write, and I have to save some room for other authors. But let's do a little bit of let's do a 1 week prediction. Okay, let's just do this because JD and I are going to pick it up next week, and Kuppy will reference what your prediction is.
All
But
right,
which way is the next 5% in the S&P?
down. I think it
JD,
just keeps
I
going.
would I would actually say up. I would say up first and then down. But I don't know about 5%. 5% is a lot. Maybe 2, 3, or 4.
okay.
Um, but yeah, I think we're gonna drift higher over the next week and then shit the bed. So
Got it. I'm going to say next week. Let's see. The next 5%, I'm going to say from here, and I'll timestamp us. Is going to be up from here. I just got a feeling that this is the heavy part of the sell off that we've been sort of tiptoeing around and kind of pandering with a little bit. It got really intense today. As long as I know that the curve is not in just a one-way train breakout and that rates aren't a one-way train lower, I can have some confidence that the stock market will hold in at some point. So I'll timestamp this and we'll see where it comes out to be, and it'll be interesting to see as we're sitting here at 5,230 in the S&P.
Hey, let's
So
talk about the curve real fast. I want to say something because I don't think everyone keeps saying like, "Hey, they're going to do 25 or 50, maybe an emergency 50." Everyone's excited about that. I think that they might get it good and hard, where the Fed cuts on the front end and the back end has a aneurysm. Like I could totally see them cut 50, or maybe it's the second cut, but I could see tens go up to 6 or something because we're an emerging market, and I think that's what no one's really prepared for. I feel like right now everyone's like, oh, the jobs number was a little soft, and maybe some of the other numbers are a little soft, and like everyone's kind of focused on the economic stuff. I think that they should really be focused on what's happening. I mean, look, we had a risk off last night and everyone bought Chinese renminbi. What? Like, who the hell buys renminbi? Everyone's been betting against that for 15 years. That's where they all went to go hide. Dollar sold off, like renminbi. Like, I just think that we're into a currency and a fiscal crisis, and the crisis doesn't really start until tens shit the bed. And I don't know when that is, but if you start acting like an emerging market where you run 7% fiscal deficits, and then you cut rates, and then you just pile more fiscal on, eventually the back end of the curve has a puke fest. And when that happens, that's when the real selling starts in SPOO. I just don't know
that
when.
that's for sure. Bond dislocations on the downside are the scariest bear case for the stock market. That's for sure. But I'm not touching that comment. I'm sure JD has got something for you.
well, the only thing I would say is I don't think that's I don't think that's like a unique position. I think a lot of people think that's going to happen.
Well,
There's a lot of people in the steepener, like waiting for that exact scenario. We go into recession, we cut the front end, the back end sells off. We have this big twist in the yield curve. Like I think that's going to happen too.
but that's
And
when
that's
SPOOs have their down, 1,000 in 3 days sort of move. Like that's the
yeah,
scary one.
yeah,
This right now, where we're down 140 handles, that's just like play money. That's the big one. I just don't know when.
yep.
Or if. or if.
Yeah,
I
it's
feel
going to
pretty
happen
certain
someday.
about it.
It's going to happen someday.
Yeah, I know. And the shorts will get bankrupted 5 times over when it happens too. But we'll see. We will see. Well, we certainly got a market, ladies and gentlemen. I think we covered everything that we can cover here. I'm really grateful that we've got a major international face like Kuppy, who leaves America, moves to Puerto Rico, and then front runs China. Brilliant strategy, and vacations in Florence. So, Kuppy, let's make sure that we hook up on some travel plans soon. I'd like to get around the world with you somewhere, even if I come and visit you over there. Maybe
Awesome.
we'll drag JD down to Puerto Rico one day for a little vacay and visit at the
Come down
finca.
here for winter. We can go surf together.
Yeah, man, that would be cool. I would love to do
Both
something like
welcome.
that. Well, I'll work on JD in the background. In the meantime, Kuppy, thank you so much for being the first guest on the Macro Dirt podcast. We will
Honored.
invariably beg you to come on again, and we'll see what the markets are doing then. But thank you so much for your insight today. You were fantastic.
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's great to chat.
Hasta la vagina.
Hasta la vagina, gang.